On October 7, 2025, a headline stunned the world. Harvard linguist admits, "We were wrong about Filipino English." The news spread like wildfire, igniting conversations in classrooms, offices, and homes across continents. For decades, Filipinos endured ridicule for their English, mocked as Taglish, Carabao English, or simply broken. Many were made to feel inferior, their accents and expressions dismissed as mistakes rather than valid forms of communication. But this was no joke. Harvard, through Dr. Alastair Finch, a renowned sociolinguist, publicly admitted their mistake. The academic world was forced to reconsider long-held biases. The news rippled from Makati offices to Filipino homes abroad, bringing a sense of vindication. Social media buzzed with pride, and families gathered to discuss what this meant for their children's future. Dr. Finch, once a critic, was now retracting his words. He acknowledged the richness and adaptability of Filipino English, calling it a testament to cultural resilience. The world, at last, was listening. People everywhere began to question their own assumptions about language and identity. Major outlets like BBC and CNN confirmed the confession was real. News anchors debated the implications, and linguists weighed in on the global stage. Dr. Finch delivered a lecture detailing his journey and newfound respect for Filipino English. He shared stories of Filipinos using English in creative, meaningful ways, challenging the very definition of what proper English means. This was more than an academic correction. It was a cultural shift. Celebrations erupted, and a new sense of pride swept through communities. For over 100 million Filipinos, the weight of linguistic shame began to lift. People started to embrace their voices, confident that their English was not just acceptable, but remarkable. Harvard's admission validated a unique identity, signaling that English was no longer the exclusive domain of its native speakers. It was a language shaped by history, culture, and the Filipino spirit. The world's verdict on Filipino English was finally being overturned, opening doors for new conversations about language, diversity, and acceptance everywhere. Filipino English lived in limbo, official, widespread, yet constantly judged. Subtle prejudice lingered in media, in corrections from tourists, and in the tone of foreign managers. This scrutiny bred insecurity. Professionals hesitated. Students tried to erase their accents. The message, "Your English isn't good enough." Yet Filipinos became masters of code switching, adapting their English to every context. What outsiders called errors, like "open the light" or unique intonations, were actually features of a living, local variant. Despite powering global industries and communicating worldwide, Filipinos' English was dismissed as flawed. The world saw only mistakes, missing the sophisticated system beneath. Dr. Finch, a staunch prescriptivist, saw Filipino English as a collection of errors. His book, The Erosion of English, labeled it linguistic decay, never considering the context or the speakers. He'd never visited the Philippines, never spoken to those he critiqued. Invited to speak in Manila, he packed his prejudices, expecting to enlighten, unaware he was about to be enlightened himself. His academic rigor had blinded him to the humanity behind the language. Dr. Finch's education began the moment he landed in Manila. The humid air, the vibrant chatter, and the swirl of languages in the arrival hall signaled that he was stepping into a world far more complex than he had imagined. The taxi driver, Mang Lito, greeted him in fluent, expressive English. "We will go the Skyway. The traffic is monster today." His words were direct, colorful, and full of personality, instantly breaking the ice and making Finch feel both welcomed and slightly off balance. What Finch once called errors now sounded natural and vivid, woven seamlessly into the rhythm of daily life. Each phrase carried a story, a history, and a sense of place. At the hotel, staff spoke with clarity and warmth, their English tinged with a musical Filipino lilt. Every greeting and gesture radiated hospitality, making the foreign seem familiar. The city's energy and its people's command of English challenged everything Finch believed. The streets buzzed with conversations, each voice adding to the city's unique symphony. He realized these weren't mistakes. They were the living language of a community, shaped by culture, necessity, and creativity. English here was not just spoken, it was lived. Sitting in his hotel room, he felt his academic certainty begin to crumble. The theories he had clung to now seemed distant, almost irrelevant in the face of Manila's reality. The people he met weren't linguistic problems. They were proof of a thriving, adaptive English. Every interaction revealed a new layer of understanding and connection. Manila itself was a rebuke to his theories. The city pulsed with life, its language evolving and flourishing in ways he had never anticipated. The foundation of his beliefs was cracking, replaced by a growing sense of humility and curiosity. He began to question not just his ideas, but his entire approach to language. He had come to teach, but Manila was teaching him. The transformation had begun, and he sensed that his journey was only just starting. Over the next days, Dr. Finch explored Manila, gathering more than data. He gathered perspective. In Quiapo Market, a vendor switched seamlessly between Tagalog and English, haggling with charm and skill. In a coffee shop, students debated films, code switching with purpose and sophistication. English for academics, Tagalog for emotion. Their language choices were deliberate, not deficient. At a university debate, a student declared, "To call our English broken is to criticize a hand-woven tapestry for not being machine-made. Our language is bespoke." The applause was thunderous. Taxi drivers, vendors, students, they became Finch's teachers, not subjects. He saw English as a tool Filipinos had made their own, not a foreign tongue to imitate. The myth of deficiency shattered. Dr. Finch realized he'd been judging people, not just language. He was profoundly wrong. The city's voices changed him. He was ready to listen. The conference hall buzzed with anticipation. Filipino educators from across the country had gathered, ready to defend their unique brand of English. The air was thick with excitement and a hint of nervous energy, as everyone wondered what the outcome of this pivotal event would be. Dr. Finch began with his old arguments, presenting slide after slide, but the room grew colder with each point he made. The audience listened intently, their faces reflecting a mix of skepticism and disappointment as his familiar criticisms echoed through the hall. He saw disappointment in the crowd, especially from Dr. Reyes, a respected linguist whose opinion carried weight. The tension was palpable, and Dr. Finch realized he was losing his audience. Suddenly, he paused, set aside his notes, and looked out at the audience. Taking a deep breath, he decided to speak from the heart, abandoning his prepared remarks. "I came to tell you what's wrong with your English, but you've shown me what's wrong with my linguistics," he admitted, his voice trembling with sincerity. He confessed his errors, praised the creativity and efficiency of Filipino English, and referenced the tapestry metaphor, acknowledging how Filipino English weaves together cultures and ideas in a way that enriches the language. "You have not broken English. You have made it your own. You have my deepest respect and sincerest apology," he said, his words resonating deeply with everyone present. For a moment, the hall was silent, as the weight of his words settled in. Then, the audience erupted in a standing ovation, applause echoing off the walls in a powerful show of unity and pride. Dr. Finch's public retraction was complete, marking a turning point in the conversation about language and identity. The academic world took notice, with journalists and scholars quickly spreading the news of this remarkable moment throughout the community. The Filipino audience felt seen and validated, their contributions finally recognized and celebrated on a global stage. A new narrative was born that day. The tide had turned, ushering in a future where Filipino English was embraced as a vibrant and legitimate form of expression. The next day, Dr. Finch visited Maria Cruz's elementary class. The school was modest, the children lively and unafraid. Ms. Cruz encouraged storytelling, not perfect grammar. A boy told a story mixing English and Tagalog. Ms. Cruz celebrated his voice, not his errors. The children learned English as a tool for expression, not a rigid set of rules. Dr. Finch watched, moved, as they built worlds with their words. A girl handed him a drawing. "Thank you for visiting us, Sir Finch." In that classroom, he saw the future of Filipino English, vibrant, confident, and nurtured with love. It was not broken, but alive. His transformation was complete. Back at Harvard, Dr. Finch scheduled a public lecture on Filipino English, a retraction and a reevaluation. The hall filled with curious colleagues and students. He began with stories: Monglito, the market vendor, the student debater, Maria Cruz's class. He dismantled his old arguments, admitting his blindness to context and humanity. "I saw mistakes. I missed the system. English is evolving, not eroding." He called for humility among linguists, urging them to observe, not judge. Filipino English is not broken. It is vibrant, rule-governed, and legitimate. He ended with a public apology to the Filipino people. The confession was an act of courage and integrity. The academic world was forced to reconsider. Dr. Finch's confession went viral, sparking pride across the Filipino diaspora. The hashtag Filipino English is valid trended. Memes celebrated, not mocked, Filipino English. Academics worldwide began to question their own biases. Journals and universities updated their approach to world Englishes. Companies revised training, focusing on communication, not accent reduction. The world learned that English proficiency meant effective communication, not imitation. Dr. Finch's journey became a lesson in humility and respect. Filipino English, once underestimated, now stood as a symbol of linguistic diversity and pride.